indifference. You may like to sit beautifully like a Buddha. The Buddha is shown as sitting on a lotus flower. It means that when he sits, he feels fresh, calm, happy. And the Buddha is a teacher. You can learn from him how to sit. So you are invited to sit like a Buddha, beautifully. Try. Sit like sitting on a lotus flower. Buddha is not a god. Buddha is a human being like us. When he was young, he suffered exactly like us, like we do. And because he knew how to practice, and that is why he overcame his suffering, become a happy person, very compassionate, very calm, very serene. When you see someone who is calm, fresh, pleasant, you like to come and sit close to that person. Because that person is very close to being a Buddha. Because when you are a Buddha, you are fresh, you are pleasant, you are calm, you are very pleasant to be with. And we know that there are times when we were calm enough, happy enough, fresh enough. And at these times we were very close to being a Buddha. In fact, everyone can be a Buddha for a few minutes. When you are fresh, when you are loving, when you don't have anger, when you can smile, you are very much like a Buddha. But there is a difference between the Buddha, our teacher, and us, is that we are only part-time Buddhas. And it is possible for us to learn and not to become a full-time Buddha. It means that you can be happy all day long. Because the element of freshness, the element of calm, the element of love make you happy. So to practice meditation is to bring more of these elements into us. Freshness, calm, joy, love. So it is possible to learn how to sit like Buddha. Solid, fresh, smiling, no anger, no jealousy. That is possible. Because in the past, there were times when you were like that, very close to being a Buddha. You can be a he Buddha or a she Buddha. Smiling, full of love, compassion. And you may like to learn how to walk like a Buddha. Because walking like Buddha is very pleasant. Every step he enjoyed. Fully aware of each step. And walking like walking in paradise. When we eat our breakfast, we can eat like a Buddha, relaxingly, happily, and cherishing every mouthful of food that we eat. When we brush our teeth, we can brush like a Buddha. We enjoy every moment of tooth brushing. to school, we can do like a Buddha. We enjoy learning mathematics. We enjoy learning reading, writing. And learning can bring us a lot of joy. So we can be a young Buddha, a very young Buddha also. When you hear the little bell, you might like to stand up and follow the young brothers and sisters and continue the practice outside. Practice to be a Buddha. Have a good day. Stand up. Only the very young ones. Dear friends, if you get a good cushion, you can stay in this sitting position for half an hour, 1 hour or more. Sitting like this is very stable. This is a very stable position of the human body. And the stability of the body can bring about the stability of the mind. Body and mind, they influence each other. So learn to sit with stability, solidity can be very helpful. Our mind will be more stable, more solid, thanks to our body. When they carve the statue of the Buddha sitting on the lotus, they mean he's sitting with peace, freedom, solidity and freedom. He enjoys sitting. The Buddha enjoys sitting. And when you enjoy sitting, you feel fresh, you feel calm, you feel solid. You feel you are sitting on a lotus flower. But many of us, while sitting, we feel that we are sitting on burning charcoal. We don't enjoy sitting. There is something in us pushing us to stand up and to do something. We just cannot sit quietly and peacefully. The day Nelson Mandela came to Paris to see François Mitterrand, the French president, the press asked him what he would like to do the most. And he said, sitting. I like to sit down and do nothing. That's what he said. Since the time I was released from prison, I had been so busy. So what I want to do the most is to sit down and do nothing. And that was reported in the French newspaper. Now I asked the question as whether the president of South Africa was given some hours to sit, whether he can enjoy sitting or not, because sitting like that requires a bit of training. To sit and feel you are sitting on a lotus and not on burning charcoal. Because there is always a tendency to run, to stand up, to be doing something. And sitting, just sitting and doing nothing is not a very easy thing to do. When you come to a practice center, the first thing they want you to do is to learn how to sit peacefully, how to walk peacefully, to enjoy sitting, to enjoy walking. If you are not truly established in the present moment, you cannot sit like that, you cannot walk like that. You are always trying to run. there is a kind of energy called habit energy in us, pushing us to run, to do something, to think of the future. And that energy does not allow us to be peaceful and happy in the present moment. It has been a long time we believe that happiness is not possible in the present moment. Happiness may be possible in the future. And therefore we are ready to sacrifice the present moment for the future. And we believe that there are a few conditions that we still miss in order to be truly happy. And these conditions we have to realize. But the teaching of the Buddha is, it is possible to be happy right in the here and the now. If you go back to the present moment and you look deeply, you recognize that you have already many conditions to be happy right here and right now. More than you need in order to be happy. And the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking can help bring our mind back to our body so that it can be established in the here and the now. And we recognize that there are plenty of conditions of happiness around. We can be happy right here, right now. The French have a song they like to sing. Qu'est-ce qu'on attend pour être heureux? What do we need, what do we wait in order to be happy? What do we wait in order to be truly happy? It means that we can be happy right here, right now. We can celebrate life and our happiness. But again, the theory is like that, but the practice, the reality needs some training. The practice of mindfulness helps us to recognize that energy of habit. And every time we recognize the habit energy in us, we are able to stop and to enjoy the present moment. When we look into our body, we see that our body is a living body. And that body is not a body. And looking into our living body, we see our consciousness. Consciousness must be there in order for our body to be a living body. In Buddhism, we speak of a kind of consciousness that is called store consciousness. Alaya Vijnana, store consciousness. It is always with the body. It makes the body alive, a living body. Suppose I draw something I call the body. And when we look at the body, you see consciousness. You know very well that if consciousness is not there, the body cannot be a living body. And that substance that makes the body alive, we call it store consciousness. In the neuroscience circle, they use the term background consciousness. Background consciousness is the kind of consciousness that has the capacity to learn and to process informations. Store consciousness is exactly the kind of energy that can practice implicit learning, implicit processing informations. There are always feelings. There are always perceptions. And the store consciousness receive the feelings, process the information, and process the perceptions. When you drive your car, you can drive with store consciousness. Your mind may not be there. Your mind may be absorbed totally in a project. Your mind may be absorbed totally in the past or in the future. Or you may be engaged in a kind of conversation. You put all your attention elsewhere, and yet store consciousness is capable of driving and helping you not to get into an accident. So in our daily life, it is store consciousness that is handling most of the things we are supposed to do in order to be alive. One part of consciousness, which is called mind consciousness, may not be operating. You know, when we sleep without dream, mind consciousness does not operate. When we dream, mind consciousness operates. But there are instances when mind consciousness stops completely its operation. Like if you fall into a coma, mind consciousness doesn't operate. When you sleep without dream, mind consciousness doesn't operate. And yet store consciousness is taking care of everything. You are still alive because of store consciousness is there. Buddhist meditation is an attempt to involve, to integrate mind consciousness in every moment of your daily life. We want to be aware of what is going on. When we walk, we want to be aware that we are walking. When we eat, we want to be aware that we are eating. We want to integrate mind consciousness in every moment of our daily life so that we can be ourselves. Otherwise, it will be only on automatic pilot. A person who does no practice would allow himself or herself go on entirely on automatic. We do not live our life. We allow our life to be lived. When there is mind consciousness, we know what is happening in the present moment. So mindfulness the energy of mindfulness, smriti, is the energy that helps us to be aware of what is going on. What is going on in our body. If there is stress, tension, we know that there is stress and tension. If there is a pain, we know that there is pain. what is going on in our feelings, whether there is a pleasant feeling or a painful feeling, we are aware. Mindfulness helps us to be aware of our perceptions. We just perceive something, and that perception may bring about a painful feeling or a pleasant feeling. And mindfulness helps us to be aware of what is going on around us in the environment, whether there is sunshine or rain or violence or peace. So mindfulness is the kind of energy that helps us to become aware of what is going on inside of us and around us. And it is that kind of energy that we want to integrate in our daily life. Because if we are with that energy, if that energy inhabits us, and then we know how to handle ourselves and handle our situation. Suppose anger is coming up. With our mindfulness, we allow anger to push us and say or to do things that may create suffering in us and around us. But with mindfulness, it might be different. Breathing in, I know anger is coming up. Breathing out, I will take good care of my anger. So you are there, truly there, in order to handle your anger. And you here is the energy of mindfulness. Mindfulness, taking care of anger. Anger is an energy coming from myself. Mindfulness is also an energy coming from myself. One energy taking care of the other. Store consciousness contains many seeds. Many seeds. The Sanskrit word is bija. There is a seed of anger that lies deep in store consciousness. Every time the seed of anger is touched, is turned on, it will manifest on the level of mind consciousness. Down here it is called a bija, a seed. Up here it's called a mental formation. Anger may be a seed sleeping quietly down here. When it is touched, when it is turned on, become a mental formation on the level of mind consciousness. With mindfulness, we can become aware of the presence of this seed, even before it manifests up here. And when it manifests up here as a zone of energy, we become aware of it. And there is a seed of mindfulness down here. When we practice mindful breathing, mindful walking, we invite this seed to come up and to take care of the other mental formation. Mindfulness as one mental formation taking care of another mental formation called anger. This is, in this case, we call mindfulness of anger. The object of mindfulness is anger. Breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I recognize the presence of my anger, and I will take good care of the energy of anger in me. So with mindfulness, you are much safer. Anger is still there, but you are much safer. You know how to handle your anger. You have a seed of compassion. You have a seed of understanding that you may like to invite up here in order to help the seed of mindfulness dealing with the energy of anger. If you have enough of compassion, of understanding, and then you have more chance to transform your anger into something else, like compassion, understanding. So you don't suffer very long, because you know how to handle your anger, how to bring the positive energies within yourself to take care of the anger and to transform your anger. You are a good practitioner. You are a skillful practitioner. In a case you don't know how to practice, the energy of anger will transform your mind consciousness into a landscape that is not beautiful. Mind consciousness is like the living room of our house. And the store consciousness is like the basement. And the landscape of mind consciousness would not be beautiful if we allow so many negative seeds to manifest, like the seed of despair, of violence, of jealousy to come up. We can speak of the seeds in terms of genes, chromosomes. The genes in our cells, they don't turn on by themselves. They need something in the environment to touch so that they can turn on. In my tradition of Buddhism, we count 51 kind of seeds, 51 varieties of seeds that can bring about 51 categories of mental formations. And there are negative seeds like anger, confusion, despair, hate. There are positive ones like understanding, compassion, forgiveness, joy. So we are urged as practitioners to organize our environment. In such a way that the good citizens have more chance to turn on, to be turned on. Suppose we come to a retreat, and everything in the retreat should be able to help turn on the good things in us, like the bell. When you hear the bell, You go back to your breath and you enjoy breathing in and out and calm your body and calm your mind. And there is a mental formation called attention. And something in the environment can draw our attention to it. And that attention will help turn on the good things in us. And it's called appropriate attention. This is very important. We should organize our life so that things in our environment will provoke, turn on the good things in us. It's called appropriate attention. Như lý tác ý, như lý tác ý. Yoniso Manaskara. Suppose you see a brother or sister in the practice walking mindfully and enjoy every step she makes. She walks like a Buddha. She enjoys every step. She is free from fear, anger. She just enjoys the kingdom of God available to her. And that sight can turn on the willingness to do the same in you. So when you see that sister walking like that, you are motivated by the desire to do like her. And you take one in-breath and you walk like her. So the seed of happiness, the seed of peace, the seed of concentration and mindfulness in you are turned on. And that is appropriate attention. When attention is not appropriate, it can turn on a lot of negative things in us, like fear, anger, violence. When our children watch television, many things in the film will touch off violence, craving, fear in them. So that kind of attention is called inappropriate attention. Inappropriate attention. Phi như lý tác ý. Ayoniso Manaskara. Manaskara attention is one of the 51 mental formations. Mindfulness is a good one. Concentration is a good one. Insight is a good one. Compassion is a good one. Fear is a bad one. Anger, violence are bad ones. In the Buddhist teaching, we speak of karma. Karma means action. Action. Nghiệp. When you produce a thought, that thought is a karma already, an action. Action as thought. As soon as you produce that thought, it will have an effect right away on our body and on our mind and on the world. The thought is karma cause. Karma cause. And when it has an effect on us and on the world, it is called a karma fruit. Nghiệp nhân, nghiệp quả. Suppose we just give rise to a thought of compassion, forgiveness. As soon as the thought of compassion and forgiveness is produced, it will have right away a good effect on our health, mental health and physical health. And it will have an effect right away on the world. So a thought produced in a line of forgiveness, compassion, understanding is an element of healing that we can provide us and the world several times a day. It is possible for us. We have the capacity of producing such a thought that has the power to heal ourselves and heal the world. And we may support each other to produce several thoughts like that every day. Living in a sangha, living in a community practice, this is possible. But when you are surrounded by a bad environment, you don't have much chance for appropriate attention. And what you touch, what you see, what you hear will turn on the worst thing in us, like craving, anger, and despair. And when we produce a thought of hate, of discrimination, of despair, it will destroy our health, physical and mental. It will destroy our world. And such a thought should not be produced. But if we continue to produce such thought because we are in a bad environment, and that is why it's very important to arrange so that we can change the environment. We can transform the environment. We can reorganize our environment. Therefore, community building is very essential for the practice. If we don't do the work of community building, our practice will not go very far. Karma can be seen as a speech. What we say is action. When we are able to say something kind, compassionate, understanding, they can inspire confidence, joy, and hope. After having been able to say it, we see the good effect on our health. We are very glad to have been able to have said something like that. The time when you were able to write a nice letter to a friend, and after having written the letter, even before you post it, you feel wonderful because you have practiced loving speech. Loving speech is good action, good karma. And what you say to the other person that has the element of forgiveness, compassion, understanding, will have a good effect on your health right away. And would have a good effect on her health, the health of the world. So it is possible for us to say many things like that during the day with the support of the Sangha. Because speech is also action. thought is action, speech is action. And the third aspect of karma is physical act. Everything you do physically that has the power to protect, to save, to bring relief, that can express your love, your compassion, is a good karma, good action. It makes you happy. It helps your process of healing. It helps the process of healing of the world. So karma action in Buddhism has three aspects. Thought, speech, and act. Triple kind, triple karma. And every day we produce karma. We produce thought, we produce speech, we produce act. And that is our continuation. If an orange tree produces orange leaves, orange blossoms and oranges, then we human beings, we produce thought, speech and action that constitute our continuation. Even when this body disintegrates, we continue with our action, with our karma. And we can very well assure a beautiful continuation. Everything, every thought we produce, every word we say, every act we commit, will be there for a long time. And that is our continuation, even if we don't see it. It's like the water vapor in the air, you don't see it, but it does not mean that the vapor is not there. It will soon become the cloud and the rain. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said something very close to that. Man is the sum of his actions. L'homme est la somme de ses actes. We are the sum of our actions in terms of thought, speech, and act. And in Buddhism, we speak of karma fruit, the fruit of our action, in terms of retribution. Retribution, báo, nghiệp báo. The retribution of the karma. And retribution in Buddhism has two aspects. The speech, the thought, the speech, and the action generated by us will be resulted in two kinds of retribution. The first aspect of retribution is main retribution, chánh báo. Main retribution that can be seen in terms of form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. 5 aggregate, 5 skandhas: body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. But that is only one aspect of retribution. The other aspect of retribution is called y báo. The environment. Our environment is a product of our karma. You are not only this, you are this. You are your environment. You are not only the 5 skandhas. Together we have created our own environment because karma has a double aspect, individual and collective. Collective karma, individual karma. Suppose we are all citizens of the United States of America. America as a nation, as a people. And that is our karma, our environment. And that is a collective, America as a nation, as a people. But it depends on the case, we are all Americans, but we enjoy America differently. There are those of us who enjoy more, there are those of us who enjoy less. America is a beautiful country, but there are those of us who can enjoy more the beauty of America. There are those of us who have no chance to enjoy the beauty of America. We are caught in our environment. Although America is the collective retribution, but each of us enjoy America in a different way. So the collective and the individual are the 2 aspects of retribution. It's like the sun. The sun is something that we all can enjoy, but each of us enjoy the sun in a different way. Each region of America enjoy the sun in a different way. Something can be more or less individual. Something can be more or less collective. Suppose my optic nerves, it looks like something strictly individual. My optic nerves. When I read, when I contemplate, well, my optic nerves are very important for me. And it looks like my optic nerve is something strictly individual. But in the case I am a bus driver, and you are sitting in a bus, you know that if I don't have good optic nerves, and then your life will be at risk. So it is not a strictly individual thing, it is a collective thing. Your life depends on them. So anything, if you look deeply into it, will have both aspects of retribution, more or less collective, more or less individual. Nothing is strictly individual, nothing is strictly collective. That is the teaching of the Buddha concerning karma and retribution. And therefore, even the nation of America is beautiful like that, but not many people, not many Americans have the chance to enjoy. We have the tendency to think that we are here and not here. The in here is different from the out there. But in fact, in the light of Buddhist teaching, the out there contains the in here, and the in here contains the out there. We are both. We are our five skandhas. We are also the ground, the environment from which the five skandhas come from. Mm-hmm. So this is the training. When we get in touch with the environment, we should tell ourselves, I am that also. Suppose you have a president that you don't trust very much. But the fact is that you have, your president is your karma. You have made him. You have elected him one way or another. He is the object of your karma. You cannot blame him as an objective reality. Your president is you. That is a hard fact. Looking deeply, you see the deep relationship between you and your president. You have lived your life in such a way that makes such your president you cannot say that I am not responsible for my president, my government. Because my government, my president is a collective karma of the whole country. Maybe you have been so busy and you did not do your best in helping, in selecting the right person for your government. So with mindfulness, you can look at things in a new way. We are not only this, we are also that. We should not blame, because that is our karma. We have helped, we have contributed to make things like that. If society is full of violence and fear and hate, that is partly our collective karma. We have allowed things to go that way. So now with awakening, with enlightenment, with mindfulness, we want to rearrange everything. We want to rearrange our five skandhas. We want to make it so that our five skandhas will operate in harmony. We want to learn how to handle the tension, the fear, the anger, the violence in us. We want to give a chance to the feeling of compassion, forgiveness, joy, harmony in us to grow. And Buddhist teaching provide us with practices that can help us do that. Harmonize our five skandhas, bring about the positive good things so that we can help change our environment. And when our environment has been changed, it's much easier for everyone to change themselves. When we come together and organize a retreat, that is because of our good intention to create a good environment so that we can touch where we can touch the best thing in us. To begin the course of transformation and healing. If we have a depression, we know that the depression has not come by itself. We have allowed the negative seeds in us to be watered, to be touched, to be turned on. And our depression is the outcome of our way of life for many months, for many years. The Buddha said, nothing can survive without food. Your depression also needs food in order to survive. You have consumed fear, anger, despair in the past, and that is why your depression has become important for you. If you look deeply into the nature of your compassion and recognize the food, the nutriment with which you have fed your depression, and then you get the enlightenment you need. You just cut the source of nutriments, and your depression will starve to death. Your love is also needs food to survive. If you don't know how to feed your love, it will die. It will turn into hate or something like that. Nothing can survive without food, including our love, our hate, our depression. Concerning appropriate attention, we all know that we and our children need a good environment. A good environment will help turn on the better things in us. And that is why our practice should include the practice of changing the environment. You take care of this, your five skandhas, of course, but you have to take care of this, your environment, at the same time. When you come to a retreat of 5 days, you find yourself in an appropriate environment. Everything you touch, you hear, you see, can help turn on the best thing within ourselves. And who has created that environment? We together. If you practice noble silence, if you practice mindful breathing and walking, and then the environment of retreat will be very good. Everyone will profit from your practice. That is a collective karma. And everything you touch, you see, you hear, will be conducive to mindfulness, to peace, to transformation, to healing. Together we can help change our environment. community building. But before that, we should learn how to take care of ourselves. Because with a lot of anger and fear and hate, we cannot help change the environment. The change should begin here in order to continue with here. In a case you feel that the environment has been making you and your children suffer so much. They have turned on so many negative things in you and your children. It may be advisable that you change the environment. You go to another environment that is more safer. Even if you have to give up your job, if you have to accept a job that has a bigger salary, if you have to live in a small house, if you have to drive in a smaller car, you have to accept, because the environment is so important. In the circle of neuroscience, they said very clearly that the genes do not turn on by themselves. It is the environment that turns on the genes in us. Where that is a seed of depression, a seed of joy, a seed of compassion. So it's very important to look at the environment and to ask the question whether you have to change the environment right away. If you have to accept a style of life that is more simple, it does not mean that you want to run away from the difficulties. One day, when you are stronger, healthier, you may like to go back and help change the environment, but not now. It's like a person who is sick should be in an environment where she should receive enough care. If there is a group of practitioners who do well in the practice, who have enough joy, solidarity, and peace, if that group of people come together, they will have the power to change the environment. So that the environment will have less violence, fear, hate. And the people who live in that environment will no longer consume things that will bring suffering to their body, their mind. A good environment is an environment where there is the practice of mindful consumption. No drugs, no alcohol. No toxins. And it is us who make the decision, because we know that is good for us and for our children. In the Buddhist practice, the energy of mindfulness is the kind of energy that we should generate permanently in our daily life. Whatever you are doing, you do it in mindfulness. So the energy of mindfulness will be there always to recognize what is there take care of what is there. When you are in touch with something wonderful, refreshing and healing, your mindfulness tells you that you should continue to allow that wonderful, healing, refreshing thing to nourish you, to transform you. And you maintain mindfulness in order to get in touch continuously with that element. When you do walking meditation, you bring your mind back to your body. You enjoy every step. You get in touch with the blue sky, the beautiful trees, the lovely bird songs. They have the power to heal, to nourish. They are elements belonging to the kingdom of God, to the Pure Land of the Buddha, that are available right in the here and the now. So that is the first function of mindfulness, helping you to be in touch with the wonders of life that have the capacity to heal, to nourish and to transform. The kingdom is available, and in mindfulness help us to be available to the kingdom. The second function of mindfulness is to recognize our pain, our sorrow, our fear, to help us hold them tenderly so that we can bring a relief and finally to transform them. With the support of concentration and insight, we shall be able to transform our suffering, our fear, our anger. But it always begins by mindfulness. Mindfulness recognizes the pain. And if our energy of mindfulness is strong enough, we can hold our pain and learn from it and bring relief. Imagine a mother holding her ailing baby very tenderly. The energy of tenderness of the mother continues to penetrate into the body of the baby. Even the mother does not know what is the cause that make the baby cry, but the fact that she is holding the baby tenderly can already be very helpful. You don't understand the roots of your sorrow, your pain yet, but the fact that you know how to hold your pain, your sorrow tenderly with the energy of mindfulness can already bring a relief. And where does it come? The energy of mindfulness. It comes from your practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful drinking, mindful eating, mindful washing, mindful brushing. And the energy of mindfulness carries within herself the energy of concentration. When you are mindful of something like a flower, and if you know how to maintain your mindfulness alive, you become concentrated on the object of your mindfulness. And that is why mindfulness contains the element of concentration. The more you are mindful, the more concentrated you become. The energy of concentration is born from the energy of mindfulness. And if you are concentrated enough, You begin to see things that people without concentration cannot see. And that is why the energy of concentration contains the energy of insight. Mindfulness, concentration, and insight are at the heart of the Buddhist practice of meditation. It is these three kinds of energy that you generate for your transformation, healing, nourishment. And they are the energies that make up a Buddha. And we know that each of us does have a seed of mindfulness, a seed of concentration, and a seed of insight in us. That we call Buddhahood, Buddha nature. As you are a human being, you are a Buddha to be. You have Buddha nature. Sometimes we say that Buddha is in our heart, or God is in our heart, but it's still vague, a vague idea. But if we realize that you have the seed of mindfulness, you have the seed of concentration, you have the seed of insight that can be developed fully, we know that is the real Buddha. And we know that we are able to be mindful. We can drink our tea mindfully. We can make a step mindfully. We can be concentrated on that step. And in that step, we can realize that the kingdom is available in the here and the now. That is already inside. So taking refuge in the Buddha means to have confidence in the seed of mindfulness, concentration, and insight. It's not a declaration of faith, it is a practice. And that is not something abstract. It's clear that we do have these seeds, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. A Buddha is just someone who has developed this energy to a very high level, that's all. And when these energies are there, we are happy, we don't suffer anymore. We have plenty of compassion, joy. A few days of practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking can make a big difference. And the practice should be pleasant, should not be hard labor. When you breathe in and you bring attention to your in-breath, breathing in can be very pleasant. And if you suffer while breathing in, that's not a correct practice. You are not forced to breathe in. You just enjoy breathing in. When you breathe in, you feel that you are alive. Someone who is not alive, someone is dead, does not breathe in at all. And when you breathe in, and you bring mindfulness of breathing along, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing in, I feel alive. That is joy. Right away. That is happiness right away. You don't need to breathe 10 years in order to be happy. Just take one in-breath and become aware that you are alive, you are there. That is already enlightenment. Enlightenment is not something you run after. Enlightenment is there in your in-breath. You are breathing in and you know that you are breathing in. Most of the people, while breathing in, they don't know they are breathing in. So knowing that you are breathing in, that is already enlightenment. And that enlightenment brings about another kind of enlightenment. Breathing in, I know I'm alive. And to be alive is a miracle. It's the biggest of all miracles. Breathing in, I know I'm alive. That's so wonderful. Joy and happiness can be right there. And you can go further. You see that the kingdom of God, the Pure Land of the Buddha, is fully available in the here and now. And because I know how to breathe in and to come back to the present moment, suddenly the kingdom is for me. So happiness, peace, relief, joy can be possible with one in-breath. So that your practice of mindful breathing should be pleasant and joyful. Otherwise, it's not a good practice. And then when you practice walking, walk like a free person, walk like a Buddha. You don't run anymore. We have been running during many lifetimes. Our father, our mother have run, and they have transmitted to us the habit of running. Now, you don't want to run anymore. You want to stop, and you want to walk in such a way that each step brings us to the Pure Land of the Buddha, to the kingdom of God. And wherever you go, the kingdom is with you. The Pure Land is with you. This is possible. And you don't have to suffer while you practice walking meditation. Why you have to suffer? You just bring attention to your steps. I have arrived in the kingdom. I feel at home in the kingdom. I have arrived. I'm home. Enlightenment, joy, peace is available with every step. The art is to stop running and to settle in the here and the now. It takes a few hours of practice to get the habit, the good habit of being happy.